Hello, everyone. Welcome to JLL's 2017 Q2 IBM TRIRIGA Users Group. We're happy you could join us today for our session. We're looking forward to a great lineup. Before we jump into today's agenda, I'd like to point out some features that you're currently looking at. To the left of the presentation slide viewer, you'll see a Q&A chat box. Please feel free to log any questions you may have during today's presentation. We'll attempt to answer all of them during or after the session. You'll also notice speaker information on the right-hand side. Please feel free to click through to view all the bios of each of our presenters' LinkedIn sites. Finally, you'll see a list of resources on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Here you'll find a PDF of today's slides and many other helpful assets and resources that we'll cover in today's session. If at any time you need to view the presentation slides in a larger view, you can simply drag the corners of that window to make it larger. We will also conduct 3 polling questions today, so thank you in advance for your participation and input. Now let's review today's agenda. Part 1 of today's users group features an end-user spotlight from Camille Sarter with Bloomberg. Next, we'll go into an IBM InterConnect Conference wrap-up with Troy Hergenrader. Then we'll take a look at TRIRIGA's new and upcoming releases and announcements from Chris Ellis. We'll then move into a portion on Perceptive Apps with Travis McChesney, and finally we'll wrap up today's session with a look at true space utilization. As I mentioned before, these are your presenters from JLL. You can find all of their bios in the window to the left of your screen. I will now pass it over to Troy to introduce our end-user spotlight, Bloomberg. Troy, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. And I would like to start by introducing Camille Sarter from Bloomberg, who is our guest speaker today. And just a little bit of background on Camille. We've actually been working with Camille and Bloomberg for probably 5 years or so, I would say. But she's been around Bloomberg for several years, started working there in the engineering department, and helped build engineering systems for many years, moved on into supply chain for the last several years, and then most recently has taken the role of the Global Facilities Process and Systems Manager. So Camille has led the TRIRIGA team, one of several teams, but the TRIRIGA program team at Bloomberg for several years. And we've been engaged, I guess, to help enhance the system. We've added some modules, we've helped with some upgrades and things like that. But Camille has built a very capable internal team there at Bloomberg to move the TRIRIGA program ahead. So with that, let me turn it over to you, Camille. We're very excited you could join us here and kind of share all the exciting things that Bloomberg is doing with TRIRIGA.
Yeah, thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. So it has been a long haul with TRIRIGA. So through all my movements, since I left engineering, TRIRIGA has been with me, and a couple other people on our team. Our whole team is here today. So this is actually a very interesting story that we're excited that somebody would like to hear a little bit about. So let's start in. Do I move the slides? Sorry. Thank you. Let's just start with let's just take a look at, I'm sorry, I'm just figuring out the controls a little bit here. Let's just start with looking at Bloomberg. So we thought we'd do a quick profile of kind of like what we manage in TRIRIGA here at Bloomberg. So 4.5 million square feet of space managed in TRIRIGA, 251 lease contracts, 267 locations, which include 67 node sites that are managed by networks, and 17,000 plus employees. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of the scope or the scale of our implementation. So at Bloomberg, integrations are really what we do all the time. As I guess I skipped over accidentally our slide about our terminal, but you may or may not know that our core product is a terminal product. which integrates data analytics and reporting on a single platform for customers. So it's no surprise that our TRIRIGA implementation is at its core an integration to all of those things. So it is a creative way for people and systems to communicate. Ideation drives integration. So that top point on the slide there is key to what we've been doing for over 7 years now. And one important thing in our story that I always like to tell people is that integrations are not random thoughts. It takes a lot of thought to decide what makes a good integration. It takes a lot of teamwork across multiple teams, so not only my team, but adjacent teams and teams in other departments. All of that huge team working together helps us define what is a good and useful integration. Later on down, you'll see how many we have, and definitely it's not random, and each one was thought through in detail with all the teams and the processes that support it. So our integrations, at least the way that I've always thought about it and the way that our team thinks about it, is that they have to fit into a long-term vision. So we have to be thinking about what are we trying to get out of this at the end, and maybe the end never comes, but in our 5-year vision, what are we trying to get out of this? We need to consolidate processes and enable global experience that allows for local execution. So in our design sessions and in our thought processes with different teams, that is always a goal. I always tell the team and people we work with, it's process first, system later. So that's the first step really in any of these that we're going to go over, is looking at what is that process, because our data is only as good as our process, regardless of how many tools we build or how many tweaks we make. And that's been a big lesson along this whole path is, we're getting to a point where we have good data, and it really has all hinged on the fact that we've worked really hard to make sure processes are clean.